This is your fault for listening this early. I'm Travis Simmons, the Big Funny. With me is Carmela and the what do we call you yesterday? The dude. What kind of dude was it?
Whistling fucker.
The whistling dude. We got vegan lemon cheese and the whistling dude. What is this morning? Carmela, you have another nickname we got. I think our Raider's going to show up today. How you doing this morning, Carmela? Good morning.
I'm fine. I mean, I gotta find a name that sticks. I tried Vegan Snacks Queen, but I don't even like the sound of that. I don't want no royalty in my nickname.
That's funny.
I've done seen The Walking Dead and people putting out flowers for him. I can't. So
you the vegan nut pusher.
There we go. Vegan nut cheese pusher.
No, man, we gotta have it in cheese. They got a lot of stuff. I was looking the other day. Y'all making crazy shit out of nuts.
Yeah.
Crazy nut stuff on Your Fault for Listening.
Really? It's like, what the hell is this, man? Let's look at this vegan thing here. And this cat was like cooking shit, all kinds with y'all all busting nuts down into a big old bowl and making shit out of it.
Oh, you have to see the walnut meat.
All kinds of shit. I don't even know, man. It was like, oh, we got some cashews, we got some of this, and then we're gonna make this, and we're gonna. I'm like, ah, damn, man, kill a pig, eat some pork. I was like, all right. What is this picture?
This is Your Fault for Listening. Good morning, Big Willie. Here we
go. Good morning.
Good morning, Big Willie, Big Willie, Big Willie. Here we go. First topic, because I got something to say about it. I wake up this morning and I see Dr. Boyce Watkins. I see other news sources, and everybody's talking about the Black Lives Matter lady who's supposed to be the leader of the Black Lives Matter thing, and she done bought 4 houses. Okay, like taking like 3 million out of 100 million that was donated, and just bought her some stuff. And
okay,
and my first thought was, wait a minute, okay, because there's like a whole bunch of right wing sites and people are talking about this, and I'm thinking about. At first, I was like, wait a minute, okay, this is white supremacy at its finest. What I mean by that is this: first of all, I didn't even know Black Lives Matter had a leader. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup, and I didn't know it was a her. Okay, I didn't know none of that. Okay,
there's 3 of them.
3 what?
3 women.
3 women.
I had no idea. I had no idea about that. And what I'm saying to you is, saying to you is that they, whoever they are throughout history, always got to pinpoint the black leader so they can tear him down. Go ahead, Willie.
I put a post up a while back on Facebook, and it was akin to saying there were some white kids that rioted after a baseball game or basketball game. So, and then somebody got hurt, people went to jail. So I put out the post. It was like, well, what's going on? Where are the leaders of a white community? Well, where are their parents? See, when you start talking to the white community, like they talk to the black community, are the fathers in the home? Why are they acting like this? Is it their music that's making them act like this? See, when I pose all those questions, it's like when you say all black people ain't thieves. Really? How about all white people ain't thieves? And all black people ain't racist? See, when you say that, people go, wait. It's that assumption that black is always bad that bothers me. When you turn it around, it sounds, then they feel offended. When you turn those same phrases around. That's why anytime a white person tells me, you speak so well, my answer is always, as do you, surprisingly so.
So do you, mother father.
No. You have to be nice with it. You speak so well, as do you, surprisingly so.
Yes, I'm very surprised you have such
when you add that, surprisingly so. Then they look at you. Yes, I am shocked that you speak in such a good manner. I mean, seeing as how you were speaking to me right now, and you just go into it and make it feel bad. But as for the BLM, look, first of all, something sounds fishy when 3 lesbians get together for the Black Lives Matter. Some
You
ain't,
gotta watch
Oh
yourself.
hell no!
Go ahead.
some ain't right
Preach.
about that.
Preach. No. Oh, how about this? How about this? What I'm saying
But
is, no.
am I wrong?
No. Stay
I'm
right
gonna get in
there.
trouble.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I'm just saying let's
I'm going with
let's talk about that for a minute. And what I'm saying is,
Come on, 3 lesbians
why
got
do
together for Black
no?
Lives
What I'm
Movement.
saying is, why does Black Lives Matter need 3 leaders? And what do these leaders do? Do you know the sound of their voices? Did you
First of all, I ain't elect these women. I ain't elect not one of them to be my leader for no damn movement.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I didn't like no leaders. Who made them the leader? Okay, and I'm saying they're saying this woman over the last 5 years bought 4 houses, man, and she's supposed to be a trained Marxist, whatever that means. But you're right. Okay, so but look, whether the Black Lives Matter had 3 lesbian leaders or 3 leaders that were clubfoots, you know what I mean, or 3 leaders with pink eye. Okay, I just don't know why does it have 3 leaders? Who are they, and what do they do for the movement?
Right. Well, first of all, I didn't know there was a movement. I thought there was just a constant demand that Black Lives Matter. I thought this is just a rebranding of every other civil rights situation. It's not like we ever stopped fighting for civil rights.
Right.
Just every 20 years they come up with a new name for a new movement to say motherfuckers act like your damn constitution say you're supposed to act.
Exactly.
Now
That is a bumper sticker.
I say, and this is just me. See, this is what keeps getting me kicked off Facebook. Because I say, Malcolm X was right. There's only 2 ways to stop this foolishness: the ballot or the bullet. Now, people are too stupid to get organized and really vote and do it the way we're supposed to do it. Because we could actually, with the numbers we have, we could actually take over a few cities with no problem. Ferguson being the main one, the first one, because they're 7% black. But with the ballot, we can take over whole cities. Mexicans can do the same on the southwest border, take over whole cities. Asians can do the same in a lot of places over west, take over whole fucking cities. So we can take over stuff. We just don't have the wherewithal because we're too stupid we're following the same, lesser of 2 evils bullshit.
The lesser 2 evils
evil.
playbook, right? And basically,
now,
if you vote for the lesser 2 evils, you evil.
Right. And that's the way I would like to do it. The other way is the bullet. Look, these cops ain't scared of nobody coming in their motherfucking house. When they shoot a black person, everybody going to the mall. But if everybody went to their motherfucking house, the shit would stop. That's all it is to it.
You got to unpack that, because I don't know what you mean right there at all. So, please.
Look, okay, if you're going to protest outside the cop's house who made you protest. Now, I don't want a riot, and it shouldn't be a riot, but it turns into a riot. Well, it ain't your shit. It ain't your neighborhood.
Right. So first of all, I was thinking. So this is my issue right now.
Protest outside that cop's house. No matter what happens, it happens outside that cop's house. He the one who made you have to protest. What you protesting outside the stores for? The stores ain't did shit to you. What you protesting downtown for? Downtown ain't did shit to you. It's that cop that did something to you. Protest outside his motherfucking house. If the shit gets out of hand, it gets out of hand in his neighborhood. By the time 3 months go by, cops won't be able to live nowhere. Or they better act right.
Well, okay, so I thought, so that's interesting. I thought that maybe like with Zimmerman, I never thought about going to his house. I thought go to the place he hangs out, right? So you go protest in front of the cops' favorite bar hangouts. Oh, really?
No. He can always not go to the bar. No, like I said.
No. You got to make it
that
so.
That bar is in a business district. Them business people ain't got nothing to do with that. That cop, you need to be outside of his house. Outside of his house.
You also have to add in the fact now, in a lot of jurisdictions, they allow cops who do not live in the jurisdictions to take these jobs.
Right. You gonna tear up your city because a nigga from another city came and shot somebody? You got your damn man.
The experience, that's like, for instance, like the NYPD. Oh, I forgot. It was a very high percentage of them don't live in New York City. They live in the suburbs quite comfortably.
Right, and that's what. So I think you're right. Maybe you're right, Willie. You might be right. You're right. Why protest and tear your block when the person who did the damage ain't living on your block?
I'm saying go to his house just like you went to the mall, just like you went downtown. Just a planned peaceful protest. That's all we want is a planned peaceful protest. Now, if some insurgents or some people get in and start making violence, well, it ain't your neighborhood. It's Officer Friendly's neighborhood. And his neighbors say, don't bring this shit to us. Stop killing people because you bring this shit to us. See, you cannot, I told y'all, you got to trust a shark to be a shark. They going to do what they do. They've been doing it for 400 years. You got to trust a shark to be a shark. But when you get mad at the shark, you don't go bitching on the beach. You take your shit to the water.
Yep.
That's all there is to it.
You need a bigger boat.
You know, that's a pretty good point there, Willie. Go ahead, Carmela. Sorry.
Like this. So, you know, especially when the history of suburbs and whatnot, you know, the minute a black and brown family moved in, the neighbors got together to try to get them the fuck out.
And that's what they're going to start doing for cops.
There you go. Okay, there you go. I think you're right, Willie, because if this particular plan went into place, okay, so instead of just going to protest any location, go protest where the person who did the stuff lives. So if the cop doesn't own a house, right, then he has an apartment building.
Yep.
Then he's going to lose his apartment.
Unless he's living in the car, we'll sit outside his motherfucking car.
Oh, and when you get your neighbors, and when the neighbors are like, "Oh, my property value gonna drop. Oh, I don't want this going on not in my neighborhood and not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard."
Because
meanwhile, our neighborhood is not being touched. Everything is shiny and pretty because we ain't fucking up our neighborhood. We at Officer Friendly's neighborhood. If anything should pop up, which I don't want it to happen, but if it does, at least it ain't your shit.
And that's where the issue.
You're right. That's the only way they're going to even give a shit is if they feel the pain too, right? So and when I say pain, and then when I say pain, I mean Officer Friendly shot somebody. There's a protest at his house at 5:30 in the morning, and now nobody in the neighborhood can go to work.
Yeah.
And let's also add in the fact that a number of these protests throughout the country, a lot of these people that were destroying stuff were not residents of that area. They were white suburban people, dressing in all black.
You're right.
Going to smash out windows at the AutoZone.
You are absolutely right, Carmela. When I was in Seattle at what everybody on the news called CHOP, right? You probably heard that phrase, CHOP, Seattle, right? Guess what? I was there for like 5 days or so, and nobody there called it motherfucking CHOP at all. That's the first thing. Second thing, I'll be asking these people, like, you know, where they from, right? And you're right. They weren't from Seattle. Like, who are these people? How'd they get here?
Dude, we had people from Texas in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had people coming in from Texas. Here's what's happening. White people are doing what they've always done. They're taking advantage of chaos to destroy black property. They've always done that, and they're doing it again. And we're so stupid, we're going along with it. We've been since the fucking 60s. That's why I say, have that protest in that way. Don't have one black face in the hood.
Good idea.
The only black people should be in the hood are people on top of roofs taking out white people who's taking out their property.
I don't know about that one.
Shooting them legs. Everybody burn some down, limping the fuck back to the suburbs.
Damn,
how you gonna make me not co-sign something on your phone?
Back to the suburbs. Yeah. The cops ain't gonna be there. They're gonna be too busy protecting the suburbs while all the black folks at in front of that cop's house.
Think of it like this, right? So, if you remember last summer in Louisville, a bunch of black protesters went to the DA's house.
Really?
Oh yeah, they arrested 83 people.
Yeah, let me. She's right.
And they went right. They didn't go to the cops, what they should have, but they went to the other problematic source, which was this clown that is nothing but a token puppet for Mitch McConnell. They went to his house and sat on his lawn. And he wanted to talk about his people, but he had his people arrested because they wanted him to do the right thing and charge these damn cops. Yeah. When he arrests these people, then he waits 5 months, makes a dumb statement, and then you find out all these things that happened in the grand jury, how he was twisting stuff, trying to change up the storyline, didn't present all the information. While the grand jury's asking, we need more information. Nope, not gonna give it to you.
I'm gonna tell you something. With Kamala Harris in office, it's gonna happen more often. This is what she fought for. Kamala Harris fought to get rid of body cams, and Kamala Harris fought on the side of police brutality in every case that was presented to her. She is gonna fuck us good. Because Joe Biden is the last of us on it.
But and going back to the point about protesting where the people are, well, if we can't get ourselves organized to do it in a fashion where we go to the source when it comes to criminal stuff, why are we okay when it comes to a political protest that we go to the damn source? Why can we do that, but we can't protest in front of the cops, in front of the DA, but we can go to a hotel where all these damn Republicans are sitting at, because that happened in Philly, and have a crazy ass dance party protest.
You know what? I think you're right.
Out.
I think you're right. But I think it has to be done like this. I think the front line of the people protesting in the white neighborhood got to be the white allies. The rich ones, the rich ones with lawyers. The rich ones. No, listen. The rich ones. No. The rich ones with hey. The rich ones with lawyers got to be in the front line, because the DA knows not to fuck with them because they're rich and got lawyers.
But that's the thing. They even though with their money, they're scared as shit. Even if they lawyer, they know they can get themselves out by lawyering up. But to have their face shown, to be in that front line, how you think they made their money? They didn't make their money being front and center. They had other people make that money for them.
Very true.
So, yes, it would be great if the allies went to the front line. They'll use every excuse. Well, I'm not trying to take away from the cause. I'm not trying to put myself out there. And what they don't understand is that there is a time and a place when you need to be front and center to show that you're an ally rather than saying you're an ally. And yes, it would be lovely. It would be ideal. We have these protests in their neighborhoods and they're front and center and not scared.
And you got to tell them, look, everything's been tried already. We already tried all this other stuff. We can't be trying the same stuff we already did. We got to go for something new. And the whole thing is, Mr. or Mrs. Ally, in this particular movement, you don't get to come in as a first lieutenant. Okay, you're over here as a private. Okay, so either you march over where we tell you to, or go back to sitting on the fulcrum in between and stop pretending like you're an ally.
Well, most of our only allies.
Y'all done said your leaders, according to the Black Lives Matter, are 3 lesbian chicks just running amok in the buying houses scene. So
not my leader.
Follow that.
Well, first of all, I never knew there was a leader.
So listen. Here's the thing about Black Lives Matter, right? So there's a lot of confusion around. It's real messy. So Black Lives Matter as a movement technically is like Antifa, no organization, whatever. Wait,
Carmela. Antifa? How can you say Black Lives Matter is like Antifa
when
Antifa doesn't exist?
No, listen. I'm talking about in terms of no structure, no organization. What I am saying, though, is that these three women formed a network with chapters. So there's two separate things here. There's Black Lives Matter as a movement. To Willie's point, is that it's just the same movement with another name. And then there's a corporate with a loose operational structure, organizational structure, a network with a series of chapters. And that is what has been founded by three women in 2013. Black Lives Matter was before 2013. Just with a different name.
And so you got to see who told them to fund, to do that, or who, you know what I mean? Why are they doing that?
Who told them to be the point where the donation comes? Who told them to run this?
Who is their biggest funder? What one entity is giving them the most money, and that's who's behind everything.
Yeah, because you know what I was thinking about? I haven't got one notice in the mail. We need your $20.
Yeah.
Who's funding this? And how do they get $100 million? And if they got $100 million,
whoever their single biggest funder is, that's who's behind everything. My guess is George Soros, somebody like that.
Yeah, and also add in the fact that the local chapters run very loosely, so there is no actual regimen that these chapters are running. They're all just connected to this greater the source, right? Which is this network build that these three women came up with. But they are Black Lives Matter New York isn't doing shit that Black Lives Matter Philly's doing. It's not doing what Black Lives Matter Seattle's doing. But they're all connected, because if it wasn't for this network where they're trying, let's bring everybody together in their different cities and let's make some money, they wouldn't be doing this.
So are you saying that there's a Black Lives Matter movement, and that there were maybe some people who realized that the wealthy progressives, like we said, they're not going to go be in the front line, but they got some money, and they wanted to send some money somewhere, but they didn't have nowhere to send it. So some folks figured out a way for them to send them some money, and they pretend to be Marxists. Yeah, no, don't worry. We're going to use the money for the movement. And then she used the money for her to move in.
How are you
like the churches? The
to be a
churches
Marxist?
10%, right? They only taking what? You said out of $100 million taken, this woman got caught grabbing $3 million. That's only 3%. She's lower than the churches. Churches
that's
10%.
Well, you also have to look. That's just for the houses, because apparently one of the homes she was looking at is valued somewhere between $5 to $20 million outside the country. Because it's not just the LA house that's $1.4 million. There's the house in Atlanta. There's the house in the Caribbean. And I think there's one more.
So, I'm looking at it still think about this. Somebody got details of what kind of houses the Black Lives Matter leader was looking at and bought. And I didn't even know there was a Black Lives Matter leader. Let alone
who did she piss off?
Huh?
Who did she piss off to go and get that info? Because if she didn't piss somebody off, would we be knowing about this today?
Exactly. Who pulled her protection? Mm-hmm.
Somebody went, I know where you living. Let's put that shit in here. Like old Willie's saying, man, we showing up at your crib now. We know where you live. Here you go. Here's your crib. She done stole our cash. Well,
and that's just one person. We don't know what happened with the other two, but there's been constant problems with this organization, these three. There's been a lot of issues. There's even talking about anti-Semitism being spouted out by I think Alicia Garza. I think it was Alicia. I have to go back and see who was the one saying it.
Once again, somebody knows that the Black Lives Matter leader is saying anti-Semitic shit, right? But I didn't even know there's a Black Lives Matter leader.
A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know. I'll say most people don't know because that's kind of how it's kind of been floated by. But they do speaking engagements and they work with different institutes, so they're making their money outside of just the donations. It's a matter of who got the paper trail and put everything together. That's what I'm saying. Somebody got pissed off who has some very serious information that was never supposed to get out.
But what I'm saying to y'all is this happens, and a new police killing in Minneapolis happens on the week that this George Floyd trial is a pimple, maybe ready to pop. And so that's on purpose. So why now, right? It's the same thing where Prince was killed like the same day that England announced that Prince Charles ain't gonna be the king or some shit like that. Or you know what I mean? Or you understand what I'm saying? Like, why is this happening right now? So George Floyd trial's happening. It's looking like a lot of people are, you've seen a lot of righteous clips, and then so the question becomes, why now? Why is this a story? And how do all these people have all this information about Black Lives Matter leaders, what houses they were viewing, thinking about buying, like they've been on tiny houses or something, shopping for a little house. And if you know all this information about them and talking about this instead of anything about Black Lives Mattering, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If y'all remember, I never liked the phrase Black Lives Matter in the first place. And right away, I came up with like 5. I don't remember what they all were, but they were better, I thought. Instead of Black Lives Matter, how about cameras don't matter when you're black?
Yeah.
Right?
Or a police camera. That's when the fucker fell off.
Or Black Lives Matter where? You know what I mean?
Black Lives Matter until red and blue lights up in your rearview mirror.
Yeah, I had some white ladies say that it should have been called Black Lives Matter too.
I think so as well.
And I said, you need to go sit somewhere.
Time out. Don't skip.
You can please go to the corner with that nonsense.
Well, how about Black Lives Matter? Por favor, 2 snaps up.
Shit.
We can do Black Lives Matter, and so does my China paper plate.
Right, my China plate. I got my China paper plate.
No. Look, what I'm saying to y'all is, there's something really sinister. Like I've noticed over the years, like with Funny to the Moon and different shows we've done, that when you're debating race stuff, that bigots, right-wing, underinformed fucks always got some negative black stats on the tip of their tongue, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they used to always bring up OJ or Chicago, or they'll start bringing up whatever it is, and you just wonder, well, where are you getting that from? And why?
What you do is you rebuttal with black stats. They tell you what about black on black crime. So you tell them, well, black on black crime is 97%. White on white crime is 95%. Mexican crime is 94%. Asian on Asian crime is 96%. Now, white people have more sexual crime than all other races put together. So what are we going to do about this white race problem?
Yeah, the white weight problem. There you go. Or how about this one? What about the white economic crimes on everybody? The super rich white crimes on everybody. You know what I mean?
Well, the blue collar.
Yeah, how about the white collar crimes? Yeah. How about the white collar crimes on all of us in different ways?
What's the corporate crime that's destroying our planet?
That's exactly. Right, white collar. Why did I say blue collar? White collar crimes. So, yep, that's what needs to come back with. And then also look at the statistics of serial killers. Serial killers are usually white, and they like 95+% of the time they're killing other white folks.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't watch that much unsolved mysteries or true crime shows, but I'm sure that if you did watch that stuff, it could give you some nightmares. You'd be like, you know what I mean? The the clubfoot killer's coming to get me. You know what I mean? That's look. I think when you look at the crimes that are ignored, you see what's going on. So to over police some poor black folks and have these hopped up on steroids and coffee donut hate monsters pulling over young black people for traffic violations. If you are policing an area you don't live in, there is no how do you even know the people you're supposed to be helping? And why would you protect somebody you don't even know?
It's the job they signed up for.
But that's the whole point. They, you know,
But they
it's
don't
just the
care.
same thing as when they take the police exam, they don't accept the people that score too high. You know, they want people that are not going to ask questions. They want people that aren't quick-witted. They don't want people that are really community-minded. They'll put a community officer in the precinct. Usually, it's a black or brown person, because they want to have show that they have some affinity with the local community. But more than half the time, that person doesn't even live in the area.
The blue spook by the door.
What he's saying is the system is not broken. It's working exactly the way it was made to work.
Exactly.
Right.
It's all orchestrated this way. This is how it's done. Like I said, they only want certain level of intelligence. When you pull out your gun, okay, you're good.
Right. You don't have nobody who would do anything but follow the order of go over there and go kill us some niggas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, there's this new training technique that's basically called warrior policing. There's a guy, I can't remember his name. He basically trains them like teaching them to be killers. The guy who shot Philando Castile went through that training.
Warrior police. What the hell is
warrior
that?
training. Go on last week tonight.
Yeah, that sounds like the
I'll
Russian shit.
On the page when this post, I'll put up the link. But last week tonight did an expose on it, warrior policing, and they also did one on raids, because it turns out in Chicago, 98% of raids are in black neighborhoods.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So think about this.
And
Why would you go?
Wait.
Go ahead.
And about 70% of those raids are in the wrong home.
On purpose, right? On purpose, then.
It's true. And warrior policing is not new. It's not a new concept. Harvard actually did research on it. I want to say 5-6 years ago. And it's really like it's just another form of militarizing the police to be like, be ready to shoot when you see the whites of their eyes or the black of their skin. You know, basically that's what it is. And certain police forces have adopted that as practice.
The Florida police would call using black pictures of teenagers, with pictures of teenage black children as the targets for their practice range.
Yep.
Damn.
That's why, like, think about this. You know, somebody calls the cops and they get a description over the phone to the call taker, who then it has to go to a dispatcher, who then it has to go which police car is going to get it. So you're playing a game of telephone. So somebody calls in and says, "Yeah, so light-skinned brother just stole my last $5." The call taker sends to the dispatch. A black guy stole somebody's last $5. This dispatcher takes it to the cop. Black guy stole. The cops here, black guy. They will go to the darkest brother they can find. Oh, we got a description of somebody that looks just like you. Now the first caller said it was a light skinned brother.
I remember that.
And here you go.
And by the time you get to the last guy, it's
on the street, and they're trying to kill this man because all they think of is black.
They had one guy. He was coming out of his job, walking out of his job, and it was a black guy with a white shirt and red pants, and white shirt. They pull this guy as soon as he come out. This guy has on a black shirt and white pants. No, black pants and white shirt because he's in uniform. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And the dispatcher got mad and started bitching at him. Like, I told you what he looked like. What do you do with this guy?
Well, it seems to me like warriors got a war, right? So if you're telling people to be warriors, they got to go, scratch that itch.
Here's your enemy.
The rage. Look here. Let me explain something to you. Because, see, people don't know what's going on. They just know about their little state, their little area. But let me tell you something. In Alabama, this is within the last 5 years, in Alabama, over 1,500 black men were framed by the police. This was the big scandal. In Pennsylvania, over 3,500 mostly black children were sold to the penal system in a scandal called Kids for Cash.
Yep.
And Boston. In Boston, police were found to have BB guns in their glove compartments to plant on people in case they shot unarmed people. In Chicago, police were found to have a black site they were running that was torturing teenagers for information. 2 teens died there. The guy that was running that site was transferred to Guantanamo Bay to teach them how to torture better. And we already see what's happening in Minnesota. I'm telling you, this shit is all over. In California, the police were found to have actual gangs. Now, the kill is how you get into this police gang.
The reason why the police was formed in this country has sustained itself over the centuries. The same premise has sustained itself over the centuries. And so, I didn't like when they were saying stuff like defund the police or whatever. It's like, no, you got to rip the whole system out. Because the system is what's killing whole communities. The system is what had destroyed Rosewood. The system has done so much, like Travis and I were talking last night because I watched the first part of Exterminate All the Brutes. And
what?
Exterminate All the Brutes. It's on HBO Max, but it is also a book. It's a book that was published in 1992 by Sven Lundquist, and parts of that book are in this series. And it's looking at basically how white supremacy has fucked us. White Christian supremacy at that.
Gotta get Jesus in there.
Yeah, of course. I get white Jesus in there.
Right? White Jesus on your room, above your bed, looking at you.
But this is how this system was developed, and it has not changed. It has transformed itself, but it's still the same basic system that has been in place since these white folks set foot on this land.
And they have no intentions on changing it. That's why when you talk to them, they are so against reparations.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because reparations will level the playing field for a lot of people.
Exactly. Don't talk about the pocket. Don't talk about the pocket. They don't want to hear nothing about money.
Martin Luther King wasn't killed until he talked about putting money in the black banks. Malcolm X wasn't killed until he talked about black nationalism. Garvey wasn't killed until he talked about leaving the country because they're taking our black money away. It's always about money.
They
And
burned
until
down
we
whole
stop,
cities. They burned down whole cities that were thriving.
until we stop investing in their stuff. See, we have this culture of gotta look good, gotta wear their stuff and look good, gotta have brand. If we can get away from that, you know, we gotta get our music back, change our music so we can change our mind. You think I'm lying? Check this out.
Oh, hell no. I talked to Tana about that shit. Me and Travis, man. I called it the magnet theory.
Yeah,
Look at the history of music itself. The history of music itself and how it became a business was basically stealing rhythm and instruments and melodies and harmonies from one culture and bringing it into white culture.
well, it's more insidious than that. You see, in the 60s, you know about the MK Ultra program, right?
Yes.
So one of the things they learned about brainwashing during the MK Ultra program, and they play it down a lot. They learned that you can brainwash somebody using a constant beat with repeating phrases. If you have a constant beat with repeating phrases always playing, you can actually slowly brainwash people. So what
Noriega with Panama from Van Halen?
Yeah.
Oh, they drove him crazy cranking Panama.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
they did that with Osama
Fresh
bin
and
Laden
Vico.
and
so
trying to
what do you
drown.
think gangster rap is? What do you think these kids who have constantly always listen to gangster rap, this death music, what do you think it's doing? Why do you think it's so easy for them to kill each other?
Well,
Anybody else would pause before killing somebody. Why is it so easy for them to kill? Because those songs say four things constantly. All those rap songs say four things. The gangster rap. It says kill niggas, women ain't never bitches and hoes, get money and spend it lavishly, buy and do drugs. Buy or sell and do drugs.
And the record company executive is usually a white dude. But if we go back, like in the history of music, you gotta go centuries back to see how this played out. So,
well, you're right. Centuries. You can go centuries back. You can go back to Louisiana, and in the documentary PBS Jazz special, Louis Armstrong was trying to figure out how he could get out of New Orleans. And he asked the guy, how do you get out of New Orleans? And he said to him, you got to become some white man's nigga. So basically, in order to move up, you got to sell yourself.
But if you're not selling yourself, somebody's going to steal from you. I mean, think about this, right? War drums. And then now we got white military drum lines.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there are things that have been taken from other cultures that white folks were able to steal and twist and put it into their culture and then say, now we can do it better. We're going to do it bigger and stronger because we're going to dominate all this shit. So yeah, we're going to take your beats. We're going to take your weapons. We're going to take your skills.
We're going to take how you fold a tortilla.
Yes.
And honestly, I think.
Well, you missed that conversation yesterday. There was a burrito cart run by these two white women in Portland, Oregon, and when they were interviewed about their business, they bragged about how they went to Mexico and fell in love with their tortillas. So they followed this little Mexican lady to a kitchen and were peeking through the window to see how she made her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, we're going to take this back and create our own burrito cart. Two white ladies with no connection to Mexico. No connection to anything Latin in their life. Except that they could afford a trip to Cancun and eat all the tortillas they want.
Money is used to steal, right? So one of the things you said about repetitious beats, and think about the repetitious beat on a video game where people are just shooting other humanoid figures in the head.
Yeah.
That's just motherfuckers want to shoot shit. That's all that is, man.
Yeah, but just like when you go
anybody
to
that's ever had a gun and shot a gun and killed some and cut it up and ate it, you ain't out there trying to shoot people, and that's just
right. But if you go, but back in the day when you would go to the Saturday matinee for the karate movies, you after the movie you come out kicking.
That's right. Went right down the street and went and bought nunchucks. You were there, weren't you?
Think about going to the gym. Going to the gym, you got your hype music. You got your hype music that's going to get you going, get you feeling like you're strong, make you run faster, hit a personal best, whatever. And there's certain beats that go in line. Because you're not going to listen to, a Bach, and unless you can find some commonality in the next few songs, but you're not going to listen to Bach and then turn on some hard-hitting
Megadeth.
Yes, let's go with Megadeth. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. That is not. You might be really weird if you do, but that's usually not the progression. Usually, you may want to start out slow, but it's all to build up that adrenaline. You get to that peak. You let it stand, for a bit. And then you still have the hype going, but it's not as strong. But there is a constant flow when it comes to the beats, undertones, what got you hyped up. And a lot of these guys that go to the gym, and when they leave the gym, they never come down. They stay hyped. And sometimes they get themselves into trouble after they leave the gym. But that's taking it like in that basic kind of form. It's like, how does the body react to repetitive sounds, to repetitive beats, to the timing? That's kind of how you see things go with police, how it goes with the military. Why do you think they use drums? Because they saw what's happening in other cultures and how they were warriors and whatnot. Well, we're going to apply it here.
What do you need warrior police pulling over people for traffic violations? Shouldn't the warrior police be busting into Catholic cathedrals, stopping,
because
child's...
the police have always been about controlling the black community, and they're still about that.
Exactly. It's not about the greater good. It's not about being the social community connector that we pay for. It's all about the control. It's for the sheer reason, like, you may see one cop car go into a white neighborhood once. They did their turn, everything's safe, everybody's asleep, blah, blah, blah. You may see a cop car in a black neighborhood do rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times around a 3-block radius. And if they see somebody in the street, what are you doing out here, boy?
It's your unlucky day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had cops stop me. More in Chicago. I've had cops in Chicago stop me. What are you doing here? I said, none of your business what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here, it costs you nothing. I don't give a shit. But I was young and stupid then.
Right.
Plus, I was way faster than I am now.
You're way faster.
Way faster. If they don't
than the
catch
speeding
you,
bullet.
It don't count.
Okay.
The thing about this, the army medic who's a lieutenant that got pulled over at the gas station, and they were at the gas station in December in Virginia, and he put his camera on, and they had their body cams on, and they found out that the police lied in their written statements about everything that was in the body cam. But the guy's like, what's going on? Why'd you pull me over? He asked repeatedly. Then he made it clear, I'm not comfortable getting out of my car because I don't know why you pulled me over.
No, they wanted him to reach. They wanted him to reach.
Yeah, they wanted him to go say, oh, he pulled the gun. He didn't give
That's
them
why they
that.
kept telling him to get out the car. Keep your hands up, get out the car. They were telling him conflicting things because they wanted him to reach.
Exactly.
And once he
But he
reached
didn't
down,
do
they
that.
him for a gun.
And when he didn't do that, they tried to open his car door, and then they sprayed him in his face.
Yeah. Twice.
Damn.
3 times.
Damn.
3 times.
Damn.
Yep.
You ain't seen the video?
No.
Oh, you need,
No.
yeah. They sprayed him in his face 3 times, and he's like, "This is fucked up. This is fucked
This whole
up."
time, he had his hands in the air outside the car.
Yep. With his, and he also had his camera on. He had he had it recording.
The
But you
dude is
see
in uniform.
in uniform, head to toe, had his hands out the vehicle, asking them, "Why you pulled me over? What have I done? What is going on here?"
That's what I say. Every time shit like that happens, I pray. Every time it happens, I pray for a real life Rambo situation. Like for real first blood Stallone Rambo situation.
He gonna
Just a
kick your ass with that
motherfucker with
buck
the
knife.
skills to say I'm tired of it and take down a whole motherfucking department. You know?
It's wild. It's wild. Like one of the cops even made a reference to the electric chair to the dude.
Oh, and he said, I'm scared. And they said, you should be.
Yeah. But talk about he gonna go up like lightning.
Well,
What
I don't get is
from Green Mile.
what I don't get is who are these people in their own head that they could do this to another human being that they don't know at random that they're not even looking for?
Well,
you know what I
there's
mean?
2 things. One, they're a cop and they feel like they have all the power in the world because they know them going to jail for this shit. 2, we're black and they don't see us as real or as people.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's power tripping. It's bigotry, and it's their training.
So then maybe one of the only solutions possible, short-term solutions, would be instead of just filming some black person being bullied by the police, how about people yell over there and go, hey, stop that. That ain't a nigga. That's really Jimmy Fallon in a mask, motherfucker.
Would that have helped George Floyd if they did that? Who knows?
Maybe if he thought that was just something. No, because he knew George Floyd, right? So that's different. Now, if he didn't know it, it was really some random person, maybe, because then maybe this thick Negro nose really is just a mask, you know. This shit's horrible to me. I don't know what the look. We've been trying to figure out an answer or answers for this to stop or be stopped or to slow down or to not happen as much. And it seems like it's happening more. For the trial of the person who murdered George Floyd to be happening in Minnesota, and for it to be 3 weeks of this, and now it's like
it's not happening more, it's being recorded more.
Right on.
Right.
Yep.
So you're saying this?
Here's the thing. This is. We go back to the fact that the cops don't want intelligent people on the force. You would think that with all this out there, people are recording you now. Maybe you're changing it up.
When you talk to a cop, always assume that you're more intelligent than him, so you don't want to insult him because he's going to react with violence because he's not that intelligent.
Yep. And that's orchestrated that way. That's how the system is orchestrated.
He's not that intelligent, and he's going to react with violence.
So do you think there could be a way to look through files, studies, test scores, and see a pattern that the smarter and see a pattern that, let me tell you what pattern I'm looking for, to see a pattern that shows that the smarter cops are put into white neighborhoods rather than black neighborhoods.
There ain't no smart cops. I'm sorry, man. These are dumb motherfuckers who want to be nobody, but I got a gun. Talk shit, I'll shoot you. I got the law behind me. Come on, man. Come on. That's all it is these people that want to shoot people, not trying to help you. Police officers do not take the police officer job to go into the field and go and help you pick up your garbage. They do it when cameras are on them and someone above them told them to do that. They'd rather ride around and look for the young punk, take him out and see what he's got. Lots
In
of
a
them.
way,
Go see what you got first.
in a way, these recordings of police crimes, in a way, it's propaganda for the police.
Hell yeah, for the NRA. Go, you need
Well,
more guns. Look at all these
exactly.
people.
Hell, let's sell our job. Let's sell our business. Let's make being a cop attractive. You get to be strong. You get to take down black men. You get to, be praised by your fellow white people, especially the white women. Because you don't want your white women being taken by the black man.
Yeah, they're on that marijuana, that evil weed.
They want to come up with all kinds of stuff because they're trying to show why being on the police force is the best job, why it's attractive. They don't talk about money, though. They don't talk about the little pittance that you get. They don't talk about how the cops got to pay for their own shit when they get on a precinct.
What do you mean pay for what shit?
I tell you what.
They got to pay for their
police killings. It's mandatory insurance.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Mandatory liability on those guns.
Yep. Oh, they're the benefits they get. But they paying for they have to buy their own. They gotta buy their boots. They gotta buy their uniform. They gotta buy their shirts. They gotta buy their hats. They gotta buy their clubs. They gotta buy their guns. They gotta pretty much buy their goddamn badge. They gotta pay for their shit and their training. Now you think our taxpayer dollars, because the tax supposed to be going towards the cops, will cover any of this shit? It does not. It does not. It pays for even after they have their training at the facility. Now they want additional gun training. They gotta go also pay for that too. Because where I grew up, the most popular gun range was 2-3 blocks from my house, and all the cops were there.
Wow.
And then they had a specific store where they would go get all their supplies. So it's not like they show you on television that, oh, you graduated from the police academy. We bequeath you with all this. Nah, you gotta pay for that. And I think maybe it's a little better now, but I remember the cops got paid. Their starting salary was somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 a year. So maybe it's a little better now. But think about that: $25,000 if you're just doing a 40-hour work week. $25,000 is something like, what would you say, $12.50 an hour, if that, before taxes?
Wow.
So $30,000, $15 an hour before taxes, give or take.
Old Bezos
And you still
looking
gotta
good
buy
now,
boots.
man.
They
Working
gotta
at
buy
Amazon ain't that bad.
shit. And what happens if you get a hole in your shoe? You gotta go buy another pair. You get a hole in your uniform. If you don't have somebody to sew it up, you better go get another shirt. Gotta get in the right colors. And it's not just your everyday. You also have, because it's like the military, you got your fancy gear too.
Dress blues.
So there's a whole monetary game at play here as well. Yeah, you get all these benefits because you putting your life on the line.
Are you really?
Well, you're choosing to. It's a choice. It's not like you walked out the house and it's not like being a black man when you walk out the house and you don't know if you're coming back home.
Right. It's like when they say blue lives matter. You weren't born blue.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
So they chose this job. They chose this job, but there's a lot of parts of the job that they're like, man, if I can just get to 20 years and I'll get that full pension. And that's why they stay, because of these promises that get dangled in front of them.
So it seems like another example of the same old trick, whether that be a factory worker whose pension disappears, or it really is it's sickness. It's sickness put in place in all of its forms to keep somebody richer than the rest of us, right?
Exactly. The whole pension program, the whole pension system is a game so that you could keep somebody on a job. That's why now you see high turnover rates and people staying at a business for maybe 2 to 5 years, where back when I was growing, even before I was growing up, people were in their jobs like 20, 30, 40 years at the same company.
Well, they do that because they don't want to pay you any kind of pension.
Well, there's that part of it too, but there's also the people the people that are more like, look, I'm getting out, especially when you work in tech. You get burnt out having to work 60 to 80 hours a week, looking at a computer screen, and you have no life. If somebody's going to show me that I have a chance to have a better work-life balance, I'm not going to sit here for 20, 30 years. I'm going to go take it. So people are more empowered, and that part of that empowerment is due to capitalism. But that's what people are. Where when my mom and my grandparents were, doing their thing, they stayed at a job because of the dangle of this glorious pension. And if you did certain things, you got things added to your pension. And then, or they would come up with these packages. The phone companies were doing all these packages for people to retire in their 40s. In their 40s.
Wow.
How I know, because 2 of my aunts took those packages.
Damn.
Did they get them?
Yes. They both have full health insurance coverage. They went out with something like 75% of their pay, which will increase due to inflation. But they did that to get the older people out, to get younger people in, so they can bring those younger people in at a lower rate.
Right, because look, I mean, I've been in some different jobs, and I always felt like when you look at jobs or you look at documentaries about employment places, a lot of times somebody ends up training the person who's taking their job for less pay.
Mm-hmm. Or you have the flip of it, depending on your industry. You have the flip of it where the older employee is being pushed out for a young buck to come in getting twice their pay.
Right. The young person is doing 3 people's jobs for less pay.
So you're seeing it on both sides, where either the employee comes in, they may be, they're coming in and doing the work of 3, or they're doing less work than the person whose role they're taking over, but getting twice the pay. So it all depends on the industry. It depends on the companies and stuff. But across the board, it's ratchet and it's nasty. And just like the pension system, ratchet and nasty, because that pension system is what held people into jobs that were not fulfilling to them, with the promise that if they made it to a certain milestone, they would get to go to the Garden of Eden.
Well,
and there are people that were like, oh, if I stay an extra 5 years, I'm going to get double this. Or rather than go out on 60%, I'm going to go out at 80% if I give them 5 more years.
Well, there's also the fact that Congress, the Democrats and Republicans, for the last over 20 years, I always use 20 because all those are voting people, refuse to raise minimum wage while giving themselves a raise every single year for 20 years straight. So when the minimum wage raises, that forces everything else to raise up at the same rate.
Yep.
So with the minimum wage not being raised, everyone else got screwed as well. That's why people with money think, with a little bit of money, think that the people with the less money don't deserve it. Like, they give they deserve, you'll get more too, you dumbass.
But I think of it like this. So what's the minimum wage at right now? We at still $7.15 or something? $7.25, right? Federal minimum wage, $7.25. That number has not changed. It did not account for inflation. We're talking now about $15 minimum wage. Which
right, when it should have been 15 a long time ago. Look, first of all, how much, what is the proper wage at the lowest level to be doing something that somebody else wants you to do that you aren't really going to get any of the profit from, right? Or like, so give me an example. Like how much, Sean, how much would someone have to pay you just to tell you when to take a nap?
Yeah, man.
Right?
I ain't got nobody paying me nothing, so who knows? Shit, who knows what people will do once they say, here, with $1 million to sleep with this. Well, I ain't sleeping with no dudes, man, but hey, you don't know. You just don't know. When it comes to broke
Right.
motherfuckers, we will do a lot of shit for nothing. Look at people in other
And then
countries.
depends on how desperate you are too.
Right.
You know,
What the situation is
That's
at the
the
one
moment,
system.
man.
person
That's
would
the
accept for
system telling us that we should
$30
be
somebody else
desperate.
won't accept. That's where the illegal immigrants come in to undercut minimum wage, so they pay even less.
Right. After the Civil War in America, they didn't like all of a sudden start paying the former slaves or the white citizens properly. They started, you jump into the
First, they
Chinese
started
building the
hiring the white people that
railroads,
they
and then you
wouldn't
got
hire because they
child
had slaves
labor.
to do it.
What'd you say, Willie?
First, they started hiring the white people that they wouldn't hire because they had slaves to do it. That's what made white people so stupid to begin with. Why the fuck would you fight for slavery? And then you mad because you ain't got a job. The reason, you ain't getting paid right. The reason you ain't getting paid right is because slaves do it for free. You dumb motherfucker.
Exactly. If there wasn't slavery, how about this? But it really goes the other direction. If the rich were willing to pay the poor whites a proper wage, they wouldn't have set slavery in the first place, right? So in the documentary Exterminate All the Brutes, I'm not sure this is in part episode 1 or episode 2, they explained that. So and I think we need to also get rid of the word white when we're talking about supremacy, because it is just supremacy, right? If any group tries to justify their mistreatment of another group on Earth, they most likely use some form of the supremacy um, uh, uh, less than formula, right? So in the documentary Exterminate All the Brutes, they explain the reason for the, everybody talks about it was the potato famine and all of that, and there was the reason for the Irish leaving, Ireland and coming here, right? So I've heard people say that before, but that's
Yes.
not
1847.
right. But that's not what it was. It was that the British were having their feet on the necks of the Irish, and the Irish left. Like the British just decided, they just claimed the British pulled a Columbus on the Irish, and was doing a land grab on the Irish people, and I guess they were outgunned, uh, um, uh, and they said it was one of the most mass migrations, like 1 million Irish move here, right?
Yes.
And so when you think about just a second, go ahead, somebody else take over just for a second.
So if we don't call it white supremacy, then we need to call it resource supremacy, because that's a lot of it is rooted in access.
You're right. Resource supremacy is a good term,
and
right? Because if you got the resources to have bigger guns, you can go take some indigenous people's resources by not only exterminating them and taking their land and move people in, but the king the king something, who was it, the king of Belgium or something like that?
Yes, Leopold.
So when these rich Europeans just decided amongst themselves that they were going to split up the African pie for themselves. This particular King Leopold, right, of Belgium, he somehow claimed that he got to have the whole Congo for himself because he wanted to corner the rubber market.
Yep.
Okay. And so he had villages mining, getting, harvesting this rubber. And if they didn't, he would burn down their village and kill them all and rape all the women, blah, 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 they let these guys do that. And in the process of if they didn't, if you don't generate enough rubber, they cut off your hand.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah. And then in the documentary, they showed this motherfucker had the people holding motherfuckers, the people who were being tortured under this supremacy plan of the Europeans, taking photographs, making people taking photographs holding hands. They were cut off.
No, these are about the ones about especially the photos of the white men with the women. Yeah, I got me some concubines. We came and rolled through this town, and look what I walk away with. Not just the money, but I got them bitches too. That's what they do.
Oh, it's rotten. It's ruthless, but it's regular.
It's
that went on to the 60s.
But it was even worse in Belgium. In Belgium, in addition to what they did in the Congo, they took some of them folks back, not just as slaves and housekeepers or whatever. There was actually a human zoo in Belgium.
Damn.
Yeah.
There was a human zoo, and they had white people coming to pay to see these Africans.
And don't forget the fourth body.
Look at the African. Yeah, look at the African woman with her big ass and big tits that you will never have. Look at that. And then isn't that gross? But then, if you were going through their wallet, the folds in their wallet, they got pictures of them having sex with those women.
Well, so think about it like this. Think about all the horrible stuff that we know because they wrote it down and weren't ashamed of doing it, right? And then think about and then think of the stuff that they did that they didn't tell nobody they were doing.
They were only ashamed if it was really gonna hit them in the pocket. That's where shame came from. Oh shit, I'm gonna lose everything. If their wife was the money maker, they would do everything to keep their shit on the down low. Oh, don't take any photos of me. I'll just do the stuff behind the scenes. Don't take any photos of me. Don't write none of this shit down. I don't need it to come back because if it comes back, either her daddy will have me killed, she gonna leave me, I'm just gonna be penniless. Those who came from a lineage of money and resources gave zero fucks and didn't care if their shit was on blast. Part of the reason why they would take these women was also to make their women at home feel inferior, because that was another control factor. See, the system plays in so many different parts that people don't realize the impacts of that. Why are you seeing all these white women now? They want to go get tans, they want to get breast implants, they want to get shots in their butt, all this stuff. Because their money-making male is showing them, this is what I pull, this is what I do. And you can't do nothing about it.
Well, and you got like we like to do. Let's have a Dick Gregory moment. And Dick Gregory said, if you would own another human being, you'd rape a chicken. You rape your mama. If you would own another human being, there's no level of what else you might do, right? So, all of the horror. I mean, like I would think that at some age you would begin to really not be surprised, right? Now, we can say we're not surprised that there's some new horrible stuff we haven't heard of, right? But I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think when you get 70 that you'll still be hearing new horrible stuff that was done in the past that you didn't know about? Or or will you just begin to notice the cycle of them just figuring out a new way of doing it?
I think there will be little bits of stories that may surprise. Oh, I didn't know that. But at the same time, it's still a part of the system. So you're just like, it's still happening. Like, I knew that Henry Ford was very much connected with the Nazi party. I didn't know this fool was giving money on Hitler's birthday year after year till the dude died.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Or how about the things that you don't know? I did not know, and I learned from this documentary that 90% of the indigenous people who lived in what we now call South America were wiped out. 90%. And whoever's there now is just whatever's a mix from the slaves and the immigrants.
Yep, which remember I told you last night, Travis, when I was in school, when I was learning about colonialization and imperialism, especially in South America, the two terms that came out that stuck with me the most were mestizos and mulattos. And it was how the indigenous folks were made to mix, ergo raped, by these colonizers. So if you are an indigenous person that is identified as Black and you are raped by a white colonizer and produce a child, your child is a mulatto. If you were a fairer skinned, Latin, what have you, indigenous person and mixed with a white colonizer, you were mestizos. So colorism is very much a part of the system too. That's
right. But remember, one of the main things in I guess it might be the second documentary, they explained that the Europeans then began to, in their universities, claim genetic superiority only because they had a militaristic, they only had a weapon that could kill from a distance superiority.
Yes, and I think that was brought up in the first part. I know we're sharing spoilers, but this is also what was done by the Aryans of Germany did that to the Jews and to those that they saw were less than. So whether it was cripples, Jehovah's Witnesses, Blacks, Jews, whatever, somebody that wasn't white like them, or let's correct that, Hitler's ideal of what white people should look like, because Hitler didn't even look like an Aryan. He wasn't. That's right. He wasn't even German, and he was a cripple too. So, and that's not even the right word, but that's how they defined them. They actually had like these charts, and they had these measurement tools. Let's look at how hooked the nose is. Look at how sunken the eyes are. And if you fall anywhere on one of these charts, that means you're a Jew. You don't even have to be Jewish. If you look like that, you're a Jew.
One of the funniest things my grandmother ever said to me, well, I was seeing her say, was this Jewish woman walked up to her and she said, I feel so sorry for your people and what they did to your people. My grandmother said, really? They did to your people too, and you the same color. Get the hell away from me. It's your fault for listening.
It's your fault for listening. Well, so I was doing some kind of class somewhere. I think I was doing a comedy class at a church basement, and yeah, exactly. And the conversation was about race, and I was saying, hey, no matter how white you think you are, you're too brown somewhere. And then I pointed to one of my Jewish mentors, and I said, hey, I said, even Ron is too black somewhere, right? A whole bunch of places, he's too, you know what I mean? So, and that's what I was trying to explain. it's the people in power playing the trick on the people without power through the people who think they got some of the people with power, the people who got the power, but really the people with power are never going to give them any power. They're just going to use them
as pawns.
Yeah, as the hammer. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how, like, I say, like, you know, you know, as y'all know, I'm biracial, and my father was an immigrant from Italy. In Italy, there's a big dichotomy between the North and the South, and then you got Sicily. And basically, the more southern you go, the more blacker you are considered. So my father was from southern Italy, and if you had olive skin, or you know, you weren't pale, basically, you were thought of as black. And when a lot of Italian immigrants came here, to the States, where they came through New York or whatever, some of them were labeled as the N-word because they were too dark. And so the more olive your complexion was, the less worth you had. And that's why they come up with these terms like calling folks guineas and calling folks wops and all this stuff. But the lighter you were, the more welcomed you were into American society. And if you were from Sicily, then you might as well just been trash. Carlo can tell you about that, because that's where his family is from. And if you see Carlo is pale as anything. But you see, his cousins look like they come from the Middle East.
Yeah, the one cousin owns a limousine company, and he's like I work for him very briefly, and he's like every single day at the airport, someone comes up to me and starts speaking Arabic because they assume I'm an Arab, and he really, he does. He looks like someone.
But didn't he have problems after 9/11 because people didn't want to work with him?
He's like, I'm Italian, I'm telling you, and but the thing is, like Carmela said, it's like I did that 23andMe, and unsurprisingly, Sicilians are mixed with a lot of things, a lot of Northern African, like Algerian. I'm part Persian and all this stuff, because Sicily was like invaded and a punching bag for like thousands of years. So it's not surprising. And but yeah, Carmela's right. A lot of those Northerners who live closer to like Austria, they look down. Like the more south you go, the more they look down, especially like where Carmela's dad's from in Sicily. It's true.
So there will always be somebody considered whiter than you and somebody always considered blacker than you. And just to see it when you're talking about it, but y'all the same. No, we're not the same, because look at my skin color. That's why you see a lot. That's why it played into slavery when you had the house Negro versus the field Negro. Who was more presentable? If they were more presentable, they could be in the house. But man, who was more fair? Versus, oh, you too dark, you're going to go and pull some cotton today and every day till you die.
Yeah, but the house Negroes raped a whole lot more.
Oh, of course, because they were attracted to that. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, they took whatever they could, but they wanted the one that was more presentable. They liked when the women passed.
Mm-hmm. So basically, what I'm hearing here is that what's the lady's name who did the blue eye blonde eye experiment? Jane Elliott. It seems to me like this whole planet is a whole bunch of the blue eye, blonde eye, the light skin, dark skin trick over and 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 over again. It's nothing but that everywhere, over and over and over again, right? We can mistreat these people because they're this difference, right? You know, there's the places probably where if you are there and you're the wrong religion, you got to be the, you know,
Spanish Inquisition.
what?
The Spanish Inquisition.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
It's like the most egregious example in history is the Spanish Inquisition. You know, like
Religious persecution.
yeah, basically.
Well, after watching Exterminate the Brutes, I bet it ain't the most, but go ahead.
Well, it's one of, you know, do you believe
The
like that? No, well, you gotta die.
European realm, let's say that's what it is.
Torture
Let's
you,
really say
torture
that
you till you can't your religion.
You know what, though? I still think it's the same thing, and meaning this, that I wonder if when they were doing like the witch trials or some of these religious persecutions, was it really just another way or their way at that time to land grab folks' land?
Yes.
Yeah, it's always about money control.
Yes.
Land is
I
money.
mean, think about it. That came from Europe. So think about this. They had the religious persecution was going on for centuries in Europe. I mean, the minute Martin Luther came out with Protestantism,
The 95 Theses he put on the
yes,
wall.
yes, you know, people starting wars over this stuff. And it was always wars over religion, right? You know? So you have different ideologies than me, you should die. They didn't doing it to their own people. And then these people are like, I gotta get out of here. They bringing it to America, and then they're like, oh, these people aren't like me. I'm gonna do to them what's already been done to me. It continues the cycle of the system that has been in place. And what they do when we take away from something, we're gonna conquer and we're gonna snatch up what is left behind. And that's how we grow. Put that in quotes. How we grow.
Yeah,
We
you
keep
know,
our ideals, and then we can make some money.
you know, I think the only way we can stop the police from policing people and then you know, going to go live, you know, far away from the people they police is to put some type of environmental tax when you travel more than 5 miles to work.
No, that kill me. I travel a lot.
Huh?
That would kill me. I travel a lot.
But yeah, hey, brother, you're gonna have to sacrifice your livelihood to save the brothers in the hood.
You know, well, we
Uber,
just
damn it.
meet at their motherfucking house.
No, look. What I'm saying
And
is,
now all the protesters be in front of their house and nowhere else.
you know, I think you're right about that one.
And there's a
Because
problem,
basically, at some point, you can't blame the people who are protesting. You got to blame the person who lit the match to cause the protest.
Yeah.
We got to go to the source. And I think that goes back to what we were saying in the beginning. If you are going to protest the source. Whether you're going
So
to
then
the
why wouldn't they
Capitol,
protest out in front of the police station?
Because they just grab you real quick and drag you into a cell. They ain't got to go.
yeah, that's what.
Well,
They're going to the opening of the Lions Den, you know.
Dance
So-
in front of the lion. You ain't gonna get me, lion. Woo! Yeah, you ain't no but lunch.
And here the lion like, oh, I'm hungry now. Do it at their house, cause
Get
that
yourself
way-
running around so you all tired, so I ain't gotta do shit when I take it out.
Exactly. You go to their house. Number one, if you do it and it's not planned out where the word spreads out, you just do it on the fly. They don't have a whole crew backing them up.
well, that's where I was when what was it? Not George Floyd, the last one. It wasn't George Floyd. It's been so many.
Last one, it's every day.
I
Yeah.
know.
The one that lives in Oakdale.
Last night.
The last one we knew about.
Who lives in Oakdale? That cop.
You know what's awful about it is you when you first talk about it, you start talking about their name, but you gotta. It's more we know about a situation. So what happened in this one? So we know about it.
Like I said, it might be the same one. I don't know. This is it might have been George Floyd. This he lives in Oakdale. Because I was in Oakdale at the police officer's house, and there was like what 5 or 6 cops there, and about 15 people there. I was like, the whole fucking hood should be right here, right the fuck here. It should be here from the get go. I was on Instagram talking about it. I was like, the whole fucking hood should be here. The hell wrong with people? They're stupid.
So you think that right now everybody from the hood or a chunk of people who have been protesting George Floyd right now should maybe be sitting outside of the dude who killed George Floyd's house?
They should have been outside his
watching
house
it on their
found out what his
phones.
name was.
They should have been outside of even before George Floyd. When Philando Castile was killed, they'd be in front of that cop's house. When this guy last night, be in front of that cop's house. You know, every single thing that is done. Eric Garner's killing was walking out scot-free.
The chick that was beating her face on the side of the highway.
Yeah,
should be at that cop's house.
And so you think it should be like a sit-in? You just kind of sit there in front of their house.
Yep. Do what they did to the DA in Kentucky. Sit on the goddamn lawn. Sit on the lawn.
Nobody go anywhere but to that house.
Just sit there. And like I said, this man now has it on his hands that he had 83 people arrested.
So are you saying that only enough people that can sit by there? Okay, but what if the person lives in an apartment? Then what do you do?
Sit out front of the apartment. That
and
way
so what? Only enough people that can sit there in front of the apartment. So if they got a little small apartment, so 8, 9, 10 people.
No, sit in front of the property. Because the landlord's gonna be like, "What's going on here?"
I'm saying instead of look, the protest you was finna do on Highway 94, do that shit in front of this man's house. That's all I'm saying. So if the shit go crazy, it ain't your place. It ain't 94. Everybody else the rest of the city get to go to work.
Yeah, but the whole point of the protest is to make people who would normally not know about what the issue is be wondering why their traffic is messed up. But that's the problem is they don't know it. They listen to their own playlists and they ain't even listen.
Who is that? The people in his neighborhood that they get to deal with it. That's who ain't worried about it. That's who don't know what's going on. The people in his neighborhood, obviously they ain't talking to him, Frank. They start killing niggas. Obviously that
happened. Yo, Frank, you done fucked up again.
Yeah,
shit. Hey, would y'all please fire Frank so these people can stop fucking up my traffic?
Look, if they knew what was going on and they didn't want it and they was tired of it, they would say, "Hey, you can't move in my neighborhood. We don't want no racist cops in our neighborhood. You can't be in here."
Look,
but what you're saying is you want to get the people that his family, that he has to deal with on a regular basis to get in his grill and cause the problems that will make this person change the mind when they have a choice of going, "Yo, nigga, what the fuck you doing?" For real. That's it.
So those are the people who will check and see if he's on steroids and shit.
No one's going to change their mind until you get the wives and the children of those people inside of their churches, where the church people in their communities, like you saying, are going, "Yo, Frank, why'd you fuck with that brother?"
Okay, until his kids come home from school saying, "Well, Timmy said that Timmy's dad said that Timmy's dad couldn't go to work because you killed some nigga," like that. Right. Okay, all right.
That's for real, because when that stuff happens and it has a direct impact, that's when these people are gonna do something. They don't care if they don't know that they don't have a connection. They don't care if they don't know the person. They don't care at all.
If the black folks' favorite fish joint or barbecue joint, rib joint gets burnt down, they don't care. They weren't going over there to go get that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like this idea for it. This is a new way of protest.
Direct impact. Because after these cops kill people, they going home and sleeping soundly.
No problem. watching TV,
Yep.
drinking a beer, get up the next day, do it again, go on your little bowling alley with your
No, they
buddies,
don't
and
get
you're all
no.
discussing.
They don't get the next day and go do it again. They get a paid vacation.
They
No,
go to
that's not. No, that's
Florida.
no. When he said do it again, he meant you're just at home on vacation, doing the same old vacation dance.
Yeah, yeah.
You get up, you play some video games, you order a sandwich.
You go take that extra money, you put it into your savings for that second house, so that when you retire and want to move to Florida.
Black Lives Matter, you buy 3 of them, 4 of them.
Yeah, but think about this: when you are somebody who shot the person who triggered the Black Lives Matter protest, people start sending you money.
Yeah,
because they're sending you
Like
money because
Zimmerman buying
they
his
wish they
gun
could have
and
been the
shit.
one to kill some nigga.
look, go look at the
Zimmerman and
GoFundMe
shit
that
sold the
is
gun
set
he shot
up.
dude with.
Yeah, sold the gun.
Look at
Yeah,
the GoFundMe accounts that have been set up for people giving money to murdering cops.
no. You gotta rephrase that so it sounds better because nobody can hear the comma. So you got to go to GoFundMe to see all of the donations sent to the cops who killed black human beings, black earthlings.
Yep. You'll
Well,
get
how
the
much is
story.
How much did that John Zimmerman you sell for?
Yeah, how much is not only did Zimmerman sell the gun, he was also doing shit like signing Skittle bags or doing something crazy.
Yeah, he was doing all that stuff.
Yeah, he's making money. Zimmerman's making money signing trinkets, man.
Yep. And then talk about he's poor while he's beating wife number 2 and wife number 3.
And then Zimmerman had the nerve to sue Trayvon Martin's parents, claiming that they ruined his life. And I thought to myself, I ain't joking. I ain't making this up. And in that moment, my thought was, Trayvon never existed, because if Trayvon had an uncle or a third cousin, and somebody would have to be all the way to PSD 17, watching their auntie, their sister, their daughter go through what happened to their nephew, their grandson, their cousin. And then after all of that, and years have passed, and then the murderer sues my sister, my my cousin, my third cousin, my niece.
You know what this is like? This is like, and this has happened repeatedly. It is like when the rapist gets the victim pregnant and then wants custody of the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is
and
that's what I think.
If you got the dirty judge will allow for at minimum unsupervised visits. That's how fucked this is.
We really need a real life Dexter.
Yeah. Or at the very least, you need a movie showing what needs to be done in some fictional world, or show a better world and then show how it got there. You know what I mean? In some kind of great Game of Thrones type long 10 seasons, and finally there's peace on earth. These were the steps. Season 1. You know what I mean? Season 1, sit at their house. Now the sitting at their house took about a decade. You know what I mean? It might be a decade of that, y'all. So, but you got to start somewhere. And I'm always interested in hearing new and interesting ideas that could possibly work. So that goes under ideas that could, hey, that shit might work. Right?
I'll watch that.
So Travis, start working on it.
Yeah, let's do that. We're working on it right now, but I'm just looking at this going like, it's the same, but like, okay, so like somebody will say, like, when talking about politics, right? So like the people that are doing the border stuff, and the people who pay the people who get across the border less than living wage, because the job that they're offering, the other people don't want, right? And so then you got the people who, and so it just ends up being the same trick, right? So like, and it shows up in all kind of different ways. So I'm trying to think of the most basic way to explain it's the same old trick. If the older sibling picks on the younger sibling and then there's a new baby, then that baby does the same, that person might do the same tricks on the younger child, right? Or they might just not do those same tricks on the younger child because they know what it felt like and they didn't like it, so they don't do it. But for some reason, that's not how this works. And everybody wants to be the king. And in order to be the king, you got to have some subjects, right? In order to be the preacher, you got to have a congregation. In order to be the guru, you got to have, I don't know, people you goo to. This is your fault for listening. And so it's still just the same old trick over and over and over again, right? Whether it's the salesman talks about getting leads, right? And they're trying to find the leads of people who don't know the trick already, right? There was on John Oliver, Late Night Tonight, right? With John Oliver, what is it called? Whatever it's called. Last Week Tonight. Sorry, I didn't want to mean like whatever it's called because it's a brilliant show and people work hard on what they do, and people, the name of what you do is what you got. And last night, spoiler, they were talking about nursing homes.
Yeah.
And how this lady, how she got found out that what she was doing with the nursing home people was she was on some dating show, and she's a dating show. She's only talking about, I really care about old people and but she got the fake cheekbones, the fake chin, the expensive car, the designer clothes, and I'm like, you ain't really helping old people because you are spending too much time shopping. You ain't really helping nobody.
Meanwhile, they had people who were dealing with like 22 people per nurse.
Right, the workers at the old folks' homes.
Ready and feed them, and just
each person. He's saying that each person had to help and deal with or caregive for 22 different people a day, and so you might get your diaper changed once a day.
Yo, there's a whole thing with nursing homes and assisted living. That could be an episode all on itself. Because Carlo and I take care of my mother with dementia, and that's a battle in itself. But the fact that there's a true fear in the older population about going to assisted living.
Hell yeah.
And this is why, because they hear horror stories from friends and family. So I was forced to make a promise to my mother that I would not put her in such places. And it's not even just like their nursing homes. When I'm talking about assisted living, I'm talking about some of these fancy schmancy kind of spots where you're paying something like $7,000 a month just for the room. Right. And then you have to pay additional to have somebody administer medication, to have somebody come and help with bathing and clothes, and dressing them and taking them places, taking them to a doctor's appointment.
So really, when you really think about that, you're talking about somebody. For it to be done right, each person that needs 24-hour care really probably needs about 4 different people, so that somebody can be around them maybe 6 hours at a time. Because otherwise, if you're around that person for 12, 14 hours at a time, you have no life. It's just
it's if you're taking on the role as the caregiver, it's 24/7. And though your parent can do for themselves, or your loved one can do for themselves to a degree, maybe for a couple hours here and there, luckily, my mother's not at the point that she needs actual 24-hour supervision. My mom is good, like she can do 12 hours a day. But what happens when my mom progresses in her dementia?
I saw a thing about, you can check this out, look it up and see that I'm not pulling it out of air, but there was a thing that was explaining that the people with Alzheimer's and things like that, and how they're good for certain parts of the day, if they did like a sativa at a certain point in the like early afternoon, they would stay better till it was time to go to sleep, rather than kind of going off the rails.
Something known as sundowning.
What is that? What does that mean?
So sundowning, as things, as the day gets darker, something happens in the mind, and you can witness very erratic behavior, verbally, physically, and it's basically as they're getting ready to, as they're getting closer to time to go to bed, this erratic behavior happens. So they use different kinds of medications to help ease the side effects. So one thing that is done, which I will give props to the doctor, because she's not trying to add things that aren't necessary, and she's trying to work with how to control certain things. Right now, I can't get my mom set for medical marijuana because the impacts to her other medications. My mom's on a very special regimen. So my mom...
I'm really curious as to what medicines they say the marijuana would mess up.
So here's what it is. So my mother is on a very specific regimen because my mother had all kinds of issues.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that could put her in an altered state, there's certain type classifications.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
would completely mess up physical. So we haven't gotten to the point that we felt comfortable, and even with the doctor, like to say, let's talk about exploring, like whether it's sativa, any kind of medical marijuana, whatever. Even CBD, like I'm very, very cautious.
Makes sense.
So what we found, luckily, because it doesn't impact her other medication, is that she's on Wellbutrin. But now she's on a double dose of it because she was having really bad episodes the last month at night. And that's leveled her out. And she can function at night. But anything could fuck that up. My mom can get a UTI and end up in the hospital for 3 weeks. And then she'd have to go through physical rehab, occupational rehab. She'd have to, like, there was one time that she actually had to go through speech therapy. And then they had to reevaluate all her medications. And at the time, my mom was on 23 meds and supplements. And they had to change everything.
In the thing also on John Oliver last night, they talked about how some lady was 92 years old, and one of the things that and they would explain it. I have to watch it a whole bunch of times in order to get how the layers they had on all of this about the difference between Medicare and whatever the other one is,
Medicaid.
Medicaid, and how these old folks homes game with the Medicaid thing is to charge for speech therapy, occupational therapy, some kind of other rehab, and something else. And they were doing that to some 92-year-old woman, saying that she had done all these different things, even on the day of her death, or his or her death, when they were coughing out blood.
Yep.
Damn.
Oh, there's a whole thing that for rehab. So, they talk about a lot of places, they won't talk about the money that is in elder care. There's a whole lot of money being made by these homes from both the government and from the families. And one of the things is, how much time do you get in the rehab, in the home, if, after whatever episode or procedure or what have you. So they try to hit the 21-day mark. You might be physically good to go home after 2-3 days, but they don't keep you 21 because that's how they're going to get the full payout.
Right, and if you
and they may keep you an extra 7 because they want a little more and they hope the family going to pay for it.
Right. So it's a bunch of people pretending to care about people, but they're just everybody. So look, it's still all capitalism. Everybody's doing what they're doing for a check, right? So these people got their game. The preacher has his game. You know what I mean? The barber could have cut your hair a lot quicker, but he got to take his time so you don't feel like.
So my mom had open heart surgery in 2017. It was a mess, a complete mess. So not the procedure, because they saved my mom's life. I think if my mom we didn't take my mom into the hospital within 24 to 48 hours after her complaining about indigestion, she would have been dead. Because what had happened was, they didn't see this until they opened up her chest. They saw some abnormalities around the heart, and they weren't sure what it was. So they brought in a thoracic surgeon who was a specialist, and they saw some issues around her aorta. But they didn't. He told me, he said, "I'm not going to know the full picture until I open your mother up."
Woo!
But this is what we know. So at this point, my mom was in the hospital, and she had to stay for 2 weeks to be prepared for this surgery, because it was a 2-day procedure, very invasive. My mom, they told me they were going to keep my mom in a medically induced coma for 72 hours after the second procedure. My mother could not wake up and was in a coma for 8 days. And that's what triggered her dementia.
Damn.
So after that, my mom ended up going to, when she was awake, and the key thing they do is you got to be able to pee on your own in order to get out. So for her to move out of the ICU, she had to pee on her own. What she ended up doing, they moved her upstairs. She was there for 2 weeks. And part of her issue was she didn't want the hospital food, and they told her that she had to eat in order to eat so that she can poop and pee on her own, and she was refusing to eat. I had to bring food in. I had to make food and bring it in for her to eat. It was crazy. For 2 weeks, she's there. So at this point, we are now over a month in the hospital. After that, my mom goes to a rehab facility. My mom is there a minimum of 2 weeks for this is an actual rehab hospital. So she had to relearn how to eat. She had to relearn how to walk, occupational therapy, how to grab things. She had to do all this stuff. But she couldn't stay more than 2 weeks because rehab hospitals are different than nursing homes. So they finally got her that she was able to walk around without much assistance. She was able to push herself in a wheelchair if she needed it. She had access to a walker, all that stuff. So then they recommended, and the administration is like, tell them that she needs to go versus, does she really need to go? They said my mom needed additional rehab. And so she did what they call a subacute. So it's not a hospital. So my mom ends up there, and we felt my mom was good to go after a week. And we had a lot of debates with the people there. And one time, like one of the people actually hung up, slammed the phone down on Carlo. It was great.
Damn.
But they wanted to max out on the money they could get from the federal government on my mom. So I demanded, like, y'all need to let my mom out. And that took an additional 2 weeks. And my mom ended up there 3 weeks and a day.
You know, one of the things
it's a whole racket that they do.
One of the things you said was, what was the term that you used? Max the what? Max the money what?
Max out the money, the most money they can get out of the federal government. So max it out.
So just stick with max out. Take the federal government off of there for a second. Max out the money they can get, right? Isn't that what King Leopold was doing to the Congo?
Yeah.
He was maxing out the money he could get, right? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, no. So if somebody shoots somebody, does everybody else get a bunch of overtime?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Just figured it out. Just figured it. Maxing. All they're doing is they go shoot some innocent nigga, and they get to max out the money they gonna get.
Yeah.
Right? You put a pool in now. You get a pool.
Yeah, everybody's getting paid. Somebody loses their job, gets a vacation, but they get paid off by the people who love seeing people in blue kill niggas, right?
That's
and then everybody else in the unit gets extra hours. The lawyers get extra money. The city gets news people coming in, staying in their hotels, right?
Yeah.
But that's like Willie said. Once you get these people doing all this devious shit, you show up at their home, they're in their pool if they got their overtime on, and you fucking with them, floating in their pool.
And there you go. You make it so they can't enjoy their shit.
Yeah.
Right? You get your overtime, but you floating in your pool, 35 people all chanting, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
But that's how it is. It's all about getting the max benefit. That's why you also see, shifting back to the cops, that some of these cops that get off, when they get off and they get a pension, they're getting 100%.
That's what Maxine Waters was trying to get folks to do about these senators. Make their lives hell. You can't go nowhere. We in your face.
That's how it works, and when we're talking about elder care, that's how it works. It's a money making system. Let me tell you, I got a brochure from an assisted living facility. Beautiful place. Talking about $7,000 minimum if your loved one needs memory care, but they had a portion about how do you finance this. And they tell you basically sell your shit off.
Right. Yes.
Sell your car, sell your parents' car, sell your parents' home, sell your parents' knickknacks, sell. Do everything that you can sell. And if you can't sell, and then you're one of these ratchet places that will then take your parents' info and say that your parent is now their ward, and then say that they've taken over your parents' estate and you have no claim to it.
You seen that movie that they just had out about that? You know what I'm talking about? They just had a movie about that where this woman.
I didn't see that, but there's a lot of articles out
Netflix.
there. I'm a part of different groups on Facebook and such, where we're talking about, children taking care of their parents or people taking care of their loved ones on our own. And the stories about how certain jurisdictions will literally make that elderly person the ward of the state. Unbeknownst to them, they are fully functioning. They live on their own. The town is taking their home and handing it over to a facility and saying, "Here you go. This is now yours." We don't take care of our senior citizens here like they do in Scandinavia. You pay your taxes when you're young because that money you pay when you're young is gonna go help you when you're elderly, and you live in life, not having to go get a job at Walmart to be a goddamn greeter because you need to pay your rent or you need to buy groceries. Other countries take care of their folks. Not to say it's great, across the world, but there are other countries out there that knew that how they worked it. pay all this high shit in taxes when you're young, and then you will benefit from it greatly when you're older and you get the care that you need. Where here, you constantly are battling, where no matter you're young or you're old.
Most other countries, if you look at what was given as a stimulus package, comparable countries to the U.S. paid way more to their citizens. Way more. It's embarrassing what U.S. paid for stimulus.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was a joke. A joke.
Well, it's just obvious that the people in this country don't care about the people in this country. We know this over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? So that's like regular. But when you see it in different forms, like, you think that the salespeople that convince you to take your loved ones to these different facilities is really, oh, these people seem really nice, da da da. But they didn't, that's just the first level, and that's not what happens there when no one is around, when it's not orientation day. You know what I mean? And this week tonight with John Oliver, they were talking about how some of these people are paying $100,000 a year for care. So if so many people are paying $100,000 a year for care, and so then that's where one of those facilities are doing like all the extra. You got lots of care in those places, right? But there's still tricks there. But then there's the facilities where, like, the one employee or the one caregiver got a caregiver for 22 people. Okay. And so, and some of those places are corporate. And then there are the individual, all kind of different people have, what they're calling, homes, right? So, you buy a duplex and you could do a lot of things with that. You could rent it out, you could, maybe, depending on, regulations, do a storefront, right? Or you could do an old folks home. And it really depends on the kindness and empathy of the people who are running it, and whether it is a corporate thing or a collective thing. And, some cultures, they take care of their old themselves and just build an extra wing on the house and just keep the person over there, and the person, and the whole family take turns taking care of them, right? But in our society, when everybody's so spread out, that's kind of difficult to happen. And the weight of taking care of someone who's losing their mind with all the other issues you can have in a family, and that shit, it gets rough on everybody. And so there's that layer going on.
Plus, then you got to remember that the poor were forced to have fathers leave the home during the welfare in the 80s. So, how you take care of the elder when you're forced to leave.
Exactly. So there's all kind of tricks there's all kind of people trying to get the most out of whatever for them, right? So if you put the man out of the home and now he has to struggle to make incomes to take care of two households if he's doing that, or he goes on the run and be like, well, okay, I'm just going. I'm going to start a new family, and now you can have a bunch of people making administrative salaries in the child support system on that person. But the thing about the elder care system, you would think that people would take care of their elders, right? Like in the same way that like the time that is spent taking care of a baby, then in general the baby takes care of the parents, right? Or has enough money to take care of the parents in one of these kind of ways. But the problem is that the people there aren't taking care of your elder like it's an elder. It's taking care of your elder like your elder is something on an assembly line, especially if it's a corporate situation.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And even just to know, even in the fancy places, it could still be a ratio of 22 patients to 1. It depends on what's been paid for. It depends on what they're paying employees, because it may be beautiful and it looks luxury or whatever, but a lot of these attendants are still getting paid minimum wage and some even below.
You're right. How much are you paying your employees that make them want to do right by my family member?
Exactly, because when you're talking about
And
jobs where you having to wash somebody's behind, you
Yep.
gotta clean up after them on the toilet, you
but
know.
and then there's also people don't pay attention. But there's these home care people that you have a home, and they have like 3 or 4 people from different homes. They live there, and the person takes care of them there. My neighbor does that, where she goes there 8, 9 hours a day and takes care of
Group
these
home.
people. Yeah, group homes. Yeah, and you're pretty much just doing the same thing, nursing them in group home.
And Carlo can articulate the experience. He worked for an agency for a number of years. The program that he worked with through that agency was what they call transitional living. So people were coming out of either a group home or out of their families' homes to live independently. But he has experience with group home settings, and to see, sometimes it could be up to 7 to 8 people, residents of the group home, and because of scheduling, there might be 1 or 2 people on duty to help take care of them. And when they're taking care of them, they're doing everything from cooking, sometimes helping with bathing and clothing, administering medication, transportation.
Now I did some of that as I forget what you call it, but you basically just running errands for them, and
No, they have that. They have that, but there are workers that are in there that are doing everything. So they're either administering medication, they're doing blood work, they're doing all kinds of stuff.
Right. So think about this. What you're saying right there is, because what I hear, saying is, all right. So the thing I was watching last night, one person got to do whatever for 22 different people. Look, if you just had to do the medicines for 22 different people, that by itself might be a job that's more than one person could do.
Yes.
Now you're talking about bathing.
Right. How many people could you really bathe in one day? How many people could you help go to the bathroom in one day? Right. If that's all you were doing.
Timed. Some of these things are timed, that you should only be spending 8 minutes doing this. You should only be spending 10 minutes with this. Some of these folks get timed, and then their performance review comes up and says, hey, you've been taking a little bit too long.
Wiping asses. Right. Exactly. So basically, but once again, we're going back to it's the same thing again. Okay. So the week before we talked about Amazon workers having to no time to take care of their own bodily functions because of what they got to do on the assembly line. And
shit in the bag.
Shit in the bag.
Yeah, you better say shit in the bag.
I was gonna say piss in a bottle on the assembly line, and then the people delivering stuff, they got to shit in the bag, right? And so
you can't sugarcoat the shit in the bag, man.
No, you can't sugarcoat shit in the bag. But think about this though. So basically, when Trump called Haiti a shithole country, this country is the shittiest. Okay, because look, if Amazon workers. We're hearing about Amazon workers not being able to have time to shit. What other occupations are sitting there with no time to shit? Look, if you got to help 22 other people take a shit, or help 22 people organize their medicine or take their right medicine, or any of that, right?
When would you? Or when it's actually and.
Right. Well, right. I was just saying that the or was too much, let alone the and.
Yeah, the or is enough. But let me tell you, this is the other thing that might trip you up too, is that these folks, some of these folks in these facilities, they gotta make food for folks, and they got a budget. that, whether they got a cafeteria or they just in the house, right? There's a budget to be able to feed all these people. And these people got the residents or the patients, they may need specific diets. But because of budget restrictions, they can't cater to those diets. I have witnessed people who had heart procedures being fed bologna and cheese sandwiches with potato chips.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Hot dogs. Hot dogs made in the goddamn microwave. I have witnessed this.
But once again, why would anybody expect anybody to do right in capitalism, right?
Yep.
So if you got a corporate retirement home and the stockholders make more money if the people eat shitty shit, then that's what's going to happen.
Yep. So you have to take it upon yourself to bring your loved one food because, healthy food so that they can function. I told the doctor, I said, at this one place, they tried to feed my mom a damn bologna and cheese sandwich. And he was like, what? So she just had surgery. I'm like, yeah, that's what they feed these people. So
right.
I took it upon myself to make other food, bring it over, prep the meal myself, put it, heat it up if it was, because I didn't live that far, so a lot of time it was already warm. But if it wasn't warm enough for her, throw it in the microwave and make sure she ate it. Because these folks, and I can't blame the employees because they're getting orders to do this. And you can see how miserable they are. They don't want to be serving people bologna and cheese sandwiches.
Listen to what you said. You said you can't blame the people for doing what they're doing because they're getting orders, and the police are doing what they're doing because they're just doing it. They get the orders.
If you could have seen the faces on those women's faces who work in these homes, yeah.
But the police are not just doing it. They're getting orders. Remember, the police in New York were literally told to target black and brown people doing stop and frisk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Orders. Okay. But see, they get the orders, and sometimes they just abide by the orders, and other times they take it to a whole other extreme because they've been pumped up by their brothers.
Yeah.
In the PBA.
Like what, the LA County Sheriff's Department with their little gang inside a gang killing motherfuckers? Yep. You got to kill somebody to get in.
Yep. It's one thing to get the order. It's another thing when the order is then, what's the right word? I don't want to say extended, but amplified. And say, oh, well, wait, what they really saying, you don't have to, that's just for show. That's the order, but you can do a lot more. Let me show you how.
Yeah. You can kneel on their neck just like this.
Oh, that won't do nothing. Slide your knee over so that they don't get the angle of you actually putting your knee on the neck. It looks like it's on the shoulder.
Yeah, I
it's like wrestling. You put him into wrestling, he's going to sleep, wrestler style. It's all fake, dudes. There ain't no wrestling. That's a fucking TV show for little kids. Y'all are killing people, strangling them like that shit.
Right?
Yeah, I want to see an undercover boss on the corporate slug having to wipe 22 asses in a day. You know what I mean? Come on. That
boss is gonna quit. I'm leaving
this. I done sold my business. I'm done, dude.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Right?
He gonna shark tank himself.
He'll still collect the check at the top, but he's like, I'm out. I'm not doing any more of this stuff on television. I'm out.
Right, and so basically what we're talking about here is the same trick over and over again in different ways, right? So, in different forms of the same trick, right? So, if you look at military war horrors from around the world, and then the soldiers, they were just following orders. Well, it's the same thing here. So I guess we're still sitting at the point where nobody really knows what to do, because they have this thing where the police are trying to trick you in order to get out of the car so they can shoot you. If somebody, look, if we know that, right, or if that sounds like it could be the truth to us, what type of horror are we currently living in?
Pretty damn good. 50 different types of toilet paper.
50 Shades of Horror. 50
Right?
shades. 50 Shades of
PP.
it-
You don't want to wipe because you only getting $7.50.
You know, we were. You're right, Sean. We were just talking about the shit wipes, but what about the piss smell everywhere in one of these
Oh
places?
yeah, that's unbelievable, dude. That is unbelievable.
Let's
As
talk
soon
about
as you
bed
get to the door and
sores.
walk in, you're like,
Talk about bed
whoa.
sores. Talk about
It's a year in utopia. Everywhere you go, the smell of ammonia. It's just it's. I mean, so seriously, so if they are paying only people to get awful wages to one person has to help 22 people, how many people does the cleanup person have to clean up after?
a lot. And some of these places leave it to their facility / janitorial staff to go. And then you have medical waste. And then you have to pay for the medical waste removal, which is separate from your sanitation.
Right.
So there's money to be made hand over fist, but at the same time, while it's very easy to exploit not just the patient, but the employee as well. Because the employee is taking this job because they need a paycheck. They need to be able to sustain themselves. And there might be limitations on where they can go. But if these places will take up people left and right, just go through a 1 or 2 day training, and you're ready to go.
Right. They were showing that that some of these facilities, the trainees got they watched 30 hours of video and that was it. And in other places, the requirements for training were less than that.
That's one of my neighbors' complaints. They bring in new people that don't know anything.
And Sean, by the way, I did see the movie you're talking about on Netflix. I don't know the name, but
Right.
in the movie, the lady from Game of Thrones who played Cersei,
Yeah.
right? She played a lady who is spoiler alert, taking advantage of these old people.
Now that wasn't her, but you're right. It was another woman that actually is just coming out in a movie right now. It's just coming out on the 30th.
Care a lot.
But it's a movie about.
Yes, I care a lot. I care a lot.
That's
Yes.
it. See, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a chick from Game of Thrones, but you're right. And
it looks like her.
The thing is just like, yo, man, but you did get the Game of Thrones because little dude was in it. Dinklage was in it. He was the.
But I thought the other lady, the main lady, was
lady. No, she wasn't her. But you're right though. Game of Thrones. Peter Dinklage was the little dude who they went and grabbed the mom of Peter Dinklage, who is the freaking corporate killer, mafia killer dude.
Right.
Like,
so
shit.
That's what it was.
Like you said, with the police going, yo, white privilege, and you grab the old lady thinking you getting over on the old lady, but you don't know who the old lady's people are. And then when they found out, I was like, oh, snap. Right? That was a good movie.
Yep. It was a very layered drama that really kind of threw like a
Well, how she was saying, it's like these people were just take advantage of you and lock you down and drug you out. And the next thing you know, all your shit is sold, man. And you broke as fuck living in a hole with nothing, man, where you went from the high end where they're going to take all your money until you can't afford it. And the next thing you know, you at the old folks home for fucking hell. You at motel hell.
Right. And then they showed how when you run out of money and you're not covered, that the man said they came to him at 10 o'clock at night, put him in a van and dropped him off at the homeless shelter.
Damn.
Yeah, right? That's what they do when you can't pay anymore. They don't. No, we're not responsible for you. You need to go.
right?
That's what they do. This is well documented. There's books about it. I mean, that's why a lot of people, like, we're not sending our loved ones. No matter how pretty the pictures are. I mean, like, when a place is telling you sell your shit if you want your loved one here.
Sounds like purgatory to me.
Sounds like what they say when they bust you and put you in jail and you need to get a lawyer. They tell you sell your shit.
Yeah,
You got shit. We ain't no public when they say the lawyer will be provided for you. Bullshit. Because if you got something, they tell you to sell it, and then you got to sign paper saying you ain't got shit, or they will put you in jail for lying about having shit.
exactly.
Anybody that's been in the system and knows what it's like, knows what I'm saying. These are some devious fuckers. They'll put you in jail and work your ass for $2 a day when you making shit for YouTube or whatever. Nike, you stitching logos for Nike in prison and shit. Just they get you.
Think about the parallels between elder care and what goes on in prisons.
Yeah.
Think about that. There's a lot of parallels. So this is how the system is so layered that it hits almost every aspect of life. If not all, it's most aspects of life. How these systems of oppression have been put into place. Now, and it's so deep. It's like, okay, maybe we can work through this, but then there's like 20 other layers that you have to go through. It's like playing Candy Crush. It never ends.
Corporate care don't care. Corporate care don't.
Do you just go and do you pick one thing to concentrate on and hope it goes away? But is it really going to go away when you see the same thing happening on level 4, on level 40, on level 400?
Well, look, whether it be the college players who don't get paid while everybody else gets paid, or the workers in these healthcare places that don't get paid, or the fact that the person making your cheeseburger just got here, or all of that is the same trick over and over and over again. All right, y'all. Well, whew, damn. 2 hours 50 minutes. Let's wrap up this morning. It's too early for this shit. Thank you all. This was a good one. I mean, to be continued, because it's really horrific what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
People.
Can I just add something before we sign off?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to let it be known that the cardiologist for the state in the George Floyd case made a statement that things that we know is that there's no evidence of fentanyl overdose causing George Floyd's death. So now he's getting questioned by the defense attorney who's been making up all this stuff. So now that's out there. Now might be like the 5th doctor to say this. But to have an actual cardiologist come up and say it was due to the lack of oxygen. So that's the breaking news. I just wanted to share that.
That makes sense. Look, saying that some reason is the reason for somebody's death other than the person who killed him is crazy anyway. So we got the show title here. This is Your Fault for Listening This Early. Title of this episode is Maxing Out the Resource Supremacy While Folks Carry You on Amputated Limbs. This has been Your Fault for Listening live for the morning show. It's too early for this. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Big Willie. Thank you so very much, Carmela. Y'all have a great day. See you tomorrow morning.
Peace.
Peace.